Okay, welcome to the Lemoore City Council Chambers at 429 C Street, October 5th, 2021. Please silence all electronic devices as a courtesy to those in attendance. Thank you. This is our 6:30 PM closed session. These items have been set aside for the city council to meet in a closed session to discuss matters pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9 D4. The city attorney will provide an oral report regarding the closed session at the beginning of the next regular city council meeting. 1, Government Code Section 54957, Public Employee Performance Evaluation, the city manager. 2, Government Code Section 54957.6, Conference with Labor Negotiator Agency Designated Representatives, Mary Lerner, the city attorney, and Michelle Spear, the assistant city manager. Employee organizations, General Association of Service Employees, Lemoore Police Officers Association, Lemoore Police Sergeants Unit, Police Professionals Service Bargaining Unit, unrepresented, and city manager. In the event that all of the items in closed session agenda have not been deliberated in the time provided, the city council may continue the closed session at the end of the regular scheduled city council meeting. And with that, we are in closed session. To Lemoore City Council Chambers, 429 C Street, October 5th, 2021. This is our 7:30 regular business meeting. We are going to go ahead and call to order, and we're going to go ahead and stand for the invocation by Mr. Robert Flores. And after invocation is completed, please stay standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us bow our heads in agreement. Father God, we invite you into this gathering. And we ask that all that is said tonight, Lord, all that is done be pleasing in your eyes. We pray tonight for your wisdom and discernment to do what is right and honorable, that we reject all counsel that violates morality and sound principles according to your good word. We pray this evening for the courage to stand and resist those things and ways that may cause evil and destruction upon our city. Lord, shine your face and countenance upon the leadership of this city and restore dignity, honor, trustworthiness, and righteousness upon their hearts, their minds, and their spirits. Heavenly Father, we ask that you protect those who protect and serve this city and its citizens from those who would cause it harm. We thank you, Lord, for Naval Air Station Lemoore protecting our country and our city, Lord. And we pray this in Jesus' holy name. Amen.
Amen. Okay, ready, salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Flores. And we'll go ahead and do roll call.
Councilmember Orth,
Here.
Councilmember Gornick, Councilmember Cheney,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Matthews. Here. Mayor Lyons.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have a quorum. We can do city business. Closed session report.
Nothing to report, Mayor and Council.
Okay, agenda approval additions and or deletions.
Yes, I have one, Mayor and council members.
Your mic's off.
There you go. Sorry. Good evening, Mayor and council members. I'd like to, if you would allow, take new business item 5-1, which is the information presentation from the captain, and move that up to presentations right now.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and jump up to 5-1 for a minute. Information only. Lemoore Naval Air Station, LNAS update, Mr. Olson.
So before that, you do-
Okay, so we'll go ahead and open this up for public comment. The fact
Just the general.
that, oh, you want to do public comment?
Yeah,
I
you're right.
gotcha.
you're right.
Yep. Okay, we'll do public comment first. Public comment will be in accordance with the attached policy. This time is reserved for members of the audience to address the city council on items of interest that are not on the agenda and are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the council. It is recommended that the speaker limit their comments to 3 minutes each, and it is requested that no comments be made during this period on items on the agenda. The council is prohibited by law from taking any action on matters discussed that are not on the agenda. Prior to addressing the council, any handouts for council will be provided to the city clerk for distribution to the council and appropriate staff. So if I have any public comment, please come up, state your name and your address. Okay, let's hear from Ms. Solis.
Jennifer, are you there? Yeah, sorry, I was clicking unmute and it's good now. Hello, Jennifer Solis, 757 Redwood Lane. I just wanted to remind everybody of the skeleton soiree happening downtown that is being sponsored by K&K Creatures, the veterinarian, and the different businesses are involved. So I'm pretty excited about that there'll be a competition for the best dressed skeleton, and that also Kiba's Boutique is doing a paint and sip on October 16th. And so I'm always just really excited that the businesses get involved and do events, and Kiba's Boutique has done a lot of events downtown to continue to support people, being around downtown, and the city's continuing to look great downtown, and I appreciate all the work that Public Works has done. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Ms. Solis. Is that the only one you have online? Okay. So going once, going twice. All right. Public comment. No one has much to say. I can't believe Mr. Reed didn't have anything to say. All right. Okay. So
He's saving it for later.
How's that not yet?
yeah, the night's not over. I'm sure he'll be up here. Ceremonial presentation. So that's when we're going to go ahead and go to 5-1. And that's going to be information only. Lemoore Naval Air Station, LNAS update. Mr. Olson.
So good evening again, Mayor and council members. It's my pleasure to introduce to you Captain Peters from NAS Lemoore, Commanding Officer.
Good evening, everyone. Before I do the update, I just wanted to extend my personal thanks to the Lemoore Police Department for the help. A month and a little bit ago, we had a bit of a kerfluffle on base when someone decided to drive through the fence line, and Lemoore was very helpful. It's indicative of the cooperation we have, the close cooperation of law enforcement in this town, and I really appreciate it, so thank you. Okay, this is kind of an update for the council and the town of what Lemoore has undergone in the last couple of years and where we sit. So we recently accomplished a new economic impact assessment, which is the last one was about 10 years old. And I thought those numbers were worth sharing. So that was accomplished in December of 20, and it showed that we have 950 million, just under, dollars in annual impact upon the local area. About 468 million of that is from industry output. So that's payroll, operations costs that we put into the economy, and visitor spending. And then another 478 million of it is the accounting for the families and the spending in the local area. So that was an increase of almost $250 million from a decade ago, is partly from growth and partly from expansion of the base. Growth, we have about 11,900 jobs at the base, 8,400 of which are directly employed, 3,400 of which are people that are stimulated by the base spending, and about $30 million in annual taxes that go to various state and local agencies, including the town. Some of that, 16 million of it is from payroll taxes, 13 million of it is from taxes on spending by the base, and another 410,000 from visitors that do spend some time here. One of the things that the base is looking to invigorate now that 21 is here is there's an agency that has changed its name, but is still doing the same thing. It's called the Office of Local Defense Community Cooperation, OLDCC. It's a very awkward acronym for what used to be called OEA. What they look to do is they look to find a nexus between military installations and local governments and towns where they can do improvements with grants from the federal government. Some of the things that they have done have been road improvements, crosswalk improvements, basically ways that the federal government can help supplement the impact the population of the base has upon local infrastructure. And so the first step in any of that, as usual with the government process, is planning. And we have been looking to invigorate that. I was actually just at a meeting in Sacramento last week with the California Governor's Military Council, where this organization was touting its program and looking for projects that can be paid out over the next year. Now, a couple steps there. It'll involve planning. It'll involve making sure that they have, the necessary NEPA accomplished and that they're as close to shovel ready as they can get. But they do look to do it, and they're looking at projects in the hundreds of $1,000s range up into the several $1 million range. So kind of a big gamut. They have a cap though. It's a $60 million cap from last year. We're not sure what this year's cap will be. We expect it'll be somewhere in that range. And they stack all the projects at the end of the year. And when they reach $60 million, that's the cut line. So the idea would be to work with the town to find projects that we can accomplish and have kind of a gamut, some small ones, some big ones. So for instance, last year, they got to about $57 million and the next project was 5 million. And rather than fund that, because they couldn't, they then went down the list a little and found some smaller dollar value ones and brought them up. So we want to be in the position where we could do that. And we'll be happy to work with you on that. Again, OLDCC is the acronym, and we're happy to pursue what we can to find ways to benefit both the base and the town. For us, it'll benefit our service members and families, and for the town, hopefully it'll bring some benefit to pay for the use of the infrastructure that our population puts on the town and the county. So I think that kind of covers everything that I wanted to put in there. The one other thing, I guess, let me have one by the way. We have talked about Lemoore's growth, and that has basically happened. Some of you have already received this brief from me, but Lemoore grew over the last several years in both size and population, and that is now effectively accomplished short of any new decisions by Congress. So population growth is about stable for the foreseeable future, the next 5 years. However, spending still continues to be quite large. We are finishing the first half of a $120 million hangar. The second half will break ground come this fall. And then a hangar to the north of that, which will cost another $150 million, will break ground in about 2.5 years. And there are a couple other projects ongoing. All told, we're looking at about $350 million in spending that has been paid for by Congress and is either undergoing or about to be spent on. So that growth is occurring, but population growth, we're where we're going to be for the next 5 years. And I thank you for your time. Are there any questions, if that's allowed?
No, thank you for coming down.
Yeah, thank
Yes,
you. Thank you
for the
very much.
presentation.
Thank
And,
you.
one last one, by the way, we're hiring. We're looking for people on base, a lot of jobs. There's some pamphlets there if you're interested. Anyone in town that would like a job on base, we'll certainly find a way to accommodate you.
Except for city employees, disregard.
Thank you, Captain, for what you guys do.
We'll actually put this on our social media. Sorry, Dave.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you very much, what you guys do.
Not one interruption too. Good night.
Thank you for your service.
That was a good one.
All right, so
And the hangar.
moving on, let's see here. Now we're going to go to department and city manager reports. 2-1, department and city manager reports. Ms. Rolls.
Okay, so first up is Chief Kendall.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. Just have a few quick things. Red Ribbon Week begins October 25th. We will be working with the schools throughout that week, providing them with some instruction and then obviously some canine demos out at the schools. October 26th will be our National Night Out. We'll hold that at Veterans Park. We'll start around 4, go till around 6, depending on the crowd size. We'll just kind of gauge from there. Also on the 26th at 10 in the morning, Assembly Member Rudy Salas's office will be at the new dispatch center out front of the police department. He'll be presenting us with our check for the funds that we were awarded, and then we'll just do a short dedication ceremony there. And that's about it. That date got changed a couple times now. This is gonna be final. So, thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Chief.
Are you getting one of those big checks like on the Price is Right or something like that? Yeah, right on.
Sweet.
Are they scratching the date out and putting new dates on it or?
I don't know. And to piggyback on that, we were expecting about $2 million from that Rudy Sales's office was able to get us to complete our dispatch center. So then going on to me, I just have a couple items. So the homecoming parade is this Friday downtown at 4 PM. So if you're not doing anything, Friday afternoon, come on down, support our high schoolers. They're going to be the small parade for homecoming. And then leaf pickup season is just around the corner, and the city will not be picking up leaves in the residential neighborhoods. This isn't because we don't want to, but with the current laws, the city does not own a transfer station with the state. So typically what we would do is collect leaves, take it out to city property, put them on the ground, dry them out, disc them in. That's not legal without a transfer license. To obtain a transfer license takes potentially a decade. If they give you one, it costs hundreds of thousands of dollars. So Hanford discontinued the service last year to their residents. We still went ahead last year, but this year we're not going to be able to do that. So we'll still be going out and collecting leaves from the city employees on critical DIs to keep water flowing in the streets. We'll still maintain the downtown and city areas, but residents will be required to put their leaves in their green cans this year. Thank you.
Well, that's a bummer.
It is.
Yeah. I won't say nothing. I'll leave that alone. Man, you're not going to be popular from that. That's for sure.
I know.
I know.
Don't shoot the messenger.
Oh, man, here we go. Let's just keep going. Consent calendar, man. Items are considered routine in nature are placed on the consent calendar. They will be considered and voted upon in one vote as one item unless a council member or a member of the public requests individual consideration. 3-1, approval of minutes, regular meeting, September 21st, 2021. 3-2, approval of minutes of special meeting, September 30th, 2021. 3-3, approval of the budget amendment, lighting and landscaping district, LLMD, and public facilities maintenance district, PFMD, adopted budgets to coincide with the approved engineers report. 3-4, approval of resolution 2021-19, declaring public nuisance and ordering a public hearing regarding weed abatement. 3-5, approval of resolution 2021-22 to review and renew the declaration of the local emergency and related declarations and orders therein. 3-6, approval of the bid award 2021 annual streets maintenance project, CIP 5006. 3-7, approval property use agreement between the city of Lemoore and Lemoore Little League. So those are our items on consent calendar. Would anyone on council like to pull any of these items?
I would like to pull 3-6.
3-6. No,
3-7.
3-7, okay. None else, okay. 3-4. So now that we opened it to public. So we have 3-4 that's pulled by the public, but anybody else from the public like to pull 3, 1, 2, or 3, or 5? No, seeing none, back to council. I'm looking for a motion to accept 3-1, 3-2, 3-3, and 3-5.
Motion.
Okay, I have a motion from Mr. Orth
I'll second it.
and Ms. Matthews. So Mr. Orth,
Aye.
Ms. Matthews,
Aye.
Mr. Cheney,
Aye.
I vote aye as well. So 3-1, 2, 3, and 5 pass. So we're going to move on to 3-4. Approval of the resolution 2021-19, declaration of nuisance and ordering a public hearing regarding weed abatement. So Mr. Frank Rivera.
Good evening. Are there any specific questions about?
Well, that's actually, she's on the line.
Jennifer.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Ms. Solis, do you have any specific questions you have regarding this item?
Yes, it's kind of I guess a lot of wording. So cut me off, Frank, if I just keep going, but I'm just learning about it this year. I understand a lot of departments are involved. When Nathan and I have done Q&As, we are, encouraging people to take pictures of things they see, put it online, submit it to the website, the City of Lemoore website, to kind of help them prioritize, the list. And I know, Frank, you and I have worked on, streets and other things. And I did that over the summer, and I haven't seen any movement on private properties. But I did want to thank for the public properties. They're done within a week, if it's an easy fix. And I really appreciate you guys being active with that. On the private properties, it's been months. So I'm kind of learning about the weed abatement process. And if I'm understanding it correctly, the municipal code says, the chief is supposed to give them a certain time to remedy the situation, once the complaint comes in, and then a 5-day notice for it to be on public comment, before the city council. And if they mail it, I guess it ends up being a 10-day. My concern is when we're looking at the properties, to me, that process from the municipal code sounds like it would happen quarterly or even every other month, like, give the owner of the home 30 days, throw it on city council, move forward. But it sounds like when I'm learning about it, there's a lot of repeat offenders, and it's for like 8 to 10 months at a time. So a majority of the year, these properties are not, look slighted, essentially, don't provide the beautification that our city, that we would like to hold. So I just don't know if a study session could be done, or if questions could be answered, or if the process could be changed, because I don't know if laws are pushing this process or if it's just the municipal code. And I think the reason I'm thinking about it is employee time. Employees don't have time. Even repeat offenders, there's no escalating fee. The repeat offender has to be repeated in the same calendar year. So I'm just kind of wondering, like, can we change the municipal code? Can we change the employees? Because I know Soledad, I've talked to her a lot, and she's an amazing employee, and she's the kindest person I've ever met. When I try to talk to residents with issues, I'm like, can I help you with my weed whacker? And they're just like, get off my property. So thank you to Soledad and her team, and the chief. And I'm just wondering if there's just some things that we can alter, and whether it's a study session for city council or if we're fine the way it is.
So, Jennifer, this is Mary Lerner, the city attorney. Are you asking if this current action falls within the scope of the municipal code? Or are you asking for something different? Because this item is about what's occurring with the current municipal code.
Right. And so since that sounds like the process isn't the same as the municipal code, could it be improved to match the municipal code? And could the municipal code be improved? And I think I'm asking for maybe like a study session to review it, or if city council is fine with the way it's currently being handled.
Okay. So it doesn't sound like there's really a question for Frank, so much as just maybe looking at the process in the future.
Probably, yeah, unless Frank can clarify those things. Anything that I kind of said, if he's like, yeah, this is the reason why, or if he knows, the answer why.
Mr. Rivera, do you have any?
So as far as I know, we are following municipal code. I think when we get to this point, either code enforcement or fire department do notify the property owners. They give them, so much time to either contact the city to resolve the situation. So I'm assuming because we came to this point, we want to follow municipal code, which is approving this resolution to open up a public hearing in which we invite the property owners to attend and give us reasons why they have not been able to resolve their weed abatement issues. So as far as I know, we are following the municipal code. I think the properties that are on here, I think we have one that is a residential property. The other ones are all railroad related. I'm not sure if that answers your question or not.
Yeah, am I allowed to go further? I don't want to take up.
Sure.
So, Ms. Solis, this is one item it's on a list we haven't started on yet, is to take a look at our municipal code to make it easier to abate properties. So
Okay.
with your permission, I think this is something we can take offline in the office if you'd like to.
Yeah, that would be great. Just to Because yeah, I just think the process can be improved, and that's what I'm concerned with. Like, we're just allowing properties too long to go unaddressed.
Okay.
I'll contact you.
So is there any other public comment on this? Seeing none, I'm gonna bring it back to council. Council, do you guys have anything that you want to expound on with 3-4? Nope. So now I'm looking for a motion to approve resolution 2021-19.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Ms. Matthews,
Second.
Mr. Cheney, Ms. Matthews, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Cheney,
Aye.
Mr. Orth,
Aye.
I vote aye as well. So 3-4 passes. 3-6, approval bid award 2021 annual streets maintenance project CIP 5006.
Okay, it's me. Yeah.
Oh, you
Can
again.
I,
All right.
any specific questions I can address, or do you want to overall?
Nothing that detailed. I just
Uh-huh.
wanted to share something about it.
Sure.
While myself and Councilmember Orth were at League of California Cities, we actually were at the booth for this vendor. And we realized that they were the company that was going to do work for us.
VSS.
VSS, yeah. So I did challenge, I believe it was Rick, to an arm wrestling competition. And so I just wanted to report back that I did win, and I got the city a 0% discount. So you're welcome.
Wow, I appreciate that.
That's all I had.
Okay, great.
Is there any public comment on Mrs. Matthews' arm wrestling competition?
That was embarrassing.
None. Seeing
That
none.
was very embarrassing watching. that,
Okay.
too.
It would have been embarrassing if I didn't win.
So we're gonna go ahead and bring it back to council, 3-6. I'm looking for a motion to approve the bid award 2021 annual streets maintenance project CIP 5006 with Ms. Matthews arm wrestling win.
Motion.
Okay, Mr. Orth, motions, and looking for a second.
I'll second.
Ms. Matthews seconds her own. All right, Mr. Orth, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Matthews,
Aye.
Mr. Cheney, I
Aye.
vote aye as well. 5-6 passes.
Thank you.
3-7, approval, property usage agreement between the city of Lemoore and Lemoore Little League.
So this is brought forth before you. This is just it's a contract between the city of Lemoore and Lemoore Little League that kind of gives the city the added protection we need when leasing out facilities under kind of a maintenance contract offer. So this was recommended by our risk management authority. I'm bringing it to council for approval tonight. If council approves it, I will then be sending it to the Little League. Once they sign it, I'll bring it, we'll circulate around for signatures, and then if all parties agree, Little League can get back to playing at Starrett Field.
Okay, did you have any specific questions, Mr. Orth?
Yeah, is it, I know the old agreement was really old and this one's a lot newer. Does it change any of the requirements for the insurance?
No
That they
insurance.
currently, that Little League currently offers their organization?
Correct. So we were originally looking at a potential change to the coverages they provide, but we were able to accomplish the same thing by beefing up the contract. So their insurance they have is fine. But now the contract basically extends that coverage to some areas that we're not so clear. There's some gray areas in the old contract.
Okay. And we will be sending out the contract to Jeff, I'm assuming, the president in the next.
Yes,
Tomorrow.
he has a copy of it already. I have not received feedback yet, so I'll reach out again.
I'm good.
Okay. Any public comment on the Little League? Oh, you know what? Can you come up to the mic and state your name and your address,
Gotta work for it.
please? Just because it, no one else hears it and it doesn't get on the minutes. Mr. Reed.
Tom Reed, 4 Avenue, Lemoore. Is there a link to the contract?
I believe it's in the agenda packet, correct?
Yeah, there's a link.
I thought it was
Three.
3.
3 years. It's 3 years.
Oh, I thought you said
length.
link.
Length,
No.
length.
Oh, did you say link?
It's length.
Length.
Like how many years?
Length.
Oh, length.
How many
Yeah,
years?
it's this
It's
one,
3
I
years.
put 3 years in
Yeah,
it,
it's 3 years.
and yeah, 3 years.
Okay, thanks.
I thought he said length as well.
Okay.
Okay, so any more public comment on none? Back to council. Council, any further discussion? No. I'm looking for a motion to approve the property usage between Lemoore and Little League?
Motion.
Mr. Orth. Second. Mr. Cheney. Mr. Orth, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Cheney.
Aye.
Mrs. Matthews.
Aye.
I vote aye as well. 3-7 passes. Moving on, public hearing, section 4. Report and discuss any or council action will be taken. So 4-1, public hearing, resolution 2021-23, requesting the local agency formation commission of Kings County to initiate proceeding for annexation number 2021 for the reorganization of territory and first reading ordinance 2021-06, pre-zoning territory located at the northeast corner of 19th Avenue and Idaho Avenue. Mr. Brandt.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, council members. Steve Brandt, City Planner. This is, as you said, this is an annexation request, requesting the council to initiate the annexation process formally. It's been a couple years since we did an annexation, so I want to go through the process just really quickly for you and for the audience. So the process starts when someone requests, someone that's not inside the city limits to request to be put into the city limits. They make an application, we review that, we prepare the CEQA document for that. We draw a map that specifically delineates where that new boundary is going to be. Then we take it to the Planning Commission and for their review for consistency with the general plan. After that, it comes to you, which is what we're doing tonight, where you would formally initiate the annexation requests. And at that point, you basically become the applicant for the annexation. And then we take that application to LAFCO, the Local Agency Formation Commission. They hold a public hearing where they determine whether the annexation is appropriate, it meets their policies and standards. And once that hearing is done, assuming they approve it, then there's another hearing where the property owners inside the annexation area have a chance to protest. If too many of them protest, then the annexation dies. In this particular case, the property owners are the ones making the request, so we know that that's not going to happen. So the final step will probably be waived in this case, but that's the process that it takes. Once it goes through that whole process, LAFCO staff records a document, and then it is formally inside the city limits. So in this particular case, we have the request, as you said, for 137 acres. It's at the northeast corner of Idaho Avenue and 19th Avenue. Most of the site is planned in the general plan for light industrial uses. There's one parcel that's planned for heavy industrial uses. So part of this process is also to do what's called pre-zone the property. And it's basically you stating formally that if the site is annexed, this is the zoning that it will have. So we're recommending that you pre-zone the site consistent with the general plan so that one site be heavy industrial, the rest of the site be light industrial. So there be two actions you're taking tonight, the initiation and the pre-zoning. The pre-zoning is an ordinance, so that would come back next time for a second reading. We'd also asking you to approve the CEQA document tonight, which is a mitigated negative declaration. There's one other interesting thing about this site, doesn't come up very often, and that is that years ago, the property owner at the time put Williamson Act agricultural preserves on the site. And that's a special process that's done for agricultural land that gives them a tax break on their property taxes. At that time, in accordance with the state law, the city of Lemoore protested those preserves, saying that we don't think that that's appropriate to put a preserve there. What that means is because that protest was made years ago, now that the city is annexing the property, we can formally state that we're not going to take over that preserve and that contract, meaning that it would go away upon annexation. So we've talked to the county staff, which is very familiar with this whole process. They have agreed that the protest that we did was valid back then. And so we've put the language in the resolution that says everything it needs to say formally so that those agricultural preserves would go away when the site was annexed. So what we're recommending is that you first hold a public hearing, but then adopt the pre-zone or adopt the mitigated negative declaration, adopt the pre-zoning to heavy industrial and light industrial, and then initiate the annexation, which would direct Nathan and our staff to make the application to LAFCO. Open for any questions.
What year was the preserve put down?
Ooh, good question. Did I put that in there?
I'm sorry, what year was the preserve put down?
It was. Don't have that in the resolution. It was something, I think in the early 80s.
Okay.
Now, the shaded area is what we're talking about, just the
The
shaded,
shade, the shaded area is the area that would be annexed, yes.
that little corner piece on the, what would
The
be,
corner piece above is already in the city limits.
okay. What's there now? Do you know?
It is it's the old site for Bush Construction where they were using it for their concrete yard.
Are-
They've since moved north of there, so it's city property now. It's vacant land.
Okay. How far south down 19 does it go?
Goes
Does
to
it go all the way to?
goes to Idaho Avenue. The annexation area has 19th Avenue on the west, Idaho Avenue on the south, and Vine Street on the east.
Okay.
Okay, council, no more questions? Go ahead and open it to public hearing. Anyone from the public? You have anything to say or would like to comment?
I received one public comment from Pamela Deho. And it reads, "Thank you for the opportunity to comment on this public hearing regarding the People's Properties Cannabis Cultivation Project. I realize that this is just a requirement in the steps to approve this project, but I feel I must at least share my concern. I understand the potential revenue the city would gain from this project, but do we really want to be known as a cannabis cultivation city? I know prior comments from the council members were supportive due to the additional revenue, and if it's a legal business, it should be allowed, but it's not considering the odor and the look of the farmland. Since the last cannabis project was approved for Farm Lemoore LLC, who also owns a local dispensary, the door has been opened for any and all companies to come in and request land for similar use. What is the limit, if any, on how much land will be sold for this purpose? I currently drive twice a day past the recently approved cannabis cultivation project on the corner of 19th and Jackson Avenue, and the odor is overwhelmingly strong. Windows and vents closed, the odor is still horrendous. That project is identified as 83 acres. With this new proposal being almost double that acreage, the odor will overtake all surrounding areas and is closer to town. Additionally, when I think of our beautiful farmland, I don't think of the large, ugly privacy chain link fences and barbed wire on top, with towers of security lights overlooking. Thank you for your time. I understand my input may not make a difference, but as I find alternate routes around all this farmland, I will at least know I have said my piece. Respectfully, Pamela." Thank you.
Thank you, Pamela, for your comment. Yes, sir. Please state your name and your address.
Aloha, I'm not necessarily sure if this is the appropriate time, but I'm imagining that it is something to do with some conversation around the cannabis cultivation. Aloha, everybody. My name is Connie Ellen Nevis. I am the general manager of the Surf Ranch, address 18556 Jackson Avenue. Good evening, council members. Again, general manager of the Kelly Slater Wave Company Surf Ranch. I've prepared a statement in regards to some of the annexation in addition to the cannabis cultivation in hopes of our continued work and dialogue and communication both with the city of Lemoore and the council. We care deeply about this community, which we've been a part of for more than a decade. We have invested millions of dollars into our facility in Lemoore and have significant plans for further investment. And our guests and events have helped generate a tremendous amount of revenue for the local community. We appreciate the opportunity to speak to you today. We also appreciate the city staff speaking with us yesterday regarding the proposed cultivation projects and look forward to continuing to work with the city, with peoples, and on developments that benefit the overall community. Earlier today, we submitted a letter regarding matters related to the proposed projects that we think the city understands need to be addressed. As noted in our letter, the Surf Ranch does not necessarily oppose the proposed projects, but respectfully ask that the council continue items 4.1 and 4.2 to allow a number of things. Number one, the city, the Surf Ranch, and other members of the community to evaluate these matters further and provide for appropriate mitigation measures to reduce the project's impacts. Alternatively, if the city council is inclined to move forward with the projects today, we respectfully request that the city council include conditions to its approval that address the recognized impacts, including the following. Requiring the projects to maintain setbacks of not less than 600 feet from the Surf Ranch and any homes and planting perimeter citrus or other odor balancing trees. Requiring that the peoples prepare an odor abatement plan that is acceptable to the city and abutting property owners and operators. The final plan should be implemented prior to commencement of cannabis growing and maintained throughout the cannabis cultivation. We also ask that you require the projects to utilize recycled water for irrigation of cannabis or other crops. We ask that you require peoples to prepare and implement a pesticide management plan that would monitor and prevent pesticide migration and inadvertent application to adjacent properties. Additionally, we ask that you require peoples to operate a public hotline for local community members to identify any concerns regarding operations and periodically report to the city the concerns and steps taken in response. And lastly, we require a periodic compliance review of the effectiveness of these measures and assessments of any other operational issues that may develop. Based on the review, the city may require additional mitigation measures. Again, thank you for the opportunity to comment. We look forward to our continued relationship building and communication both with the city, with the peoples, and any other organizations pertaining to this matter. I'd like to submit the letter that was sent for record. In addition, we've outlined some of these proposed conditions for your review. And again, really appreciate the time. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Nathan, can I see the conditions? Is it possible for me to look at them?
Yeah, and we'll post them to the website as handouts after the meeting.
Oh, okay.
Yes, sir. State your name and address.
Jay McKay, 15200 19th Avenue. Evidently, I'm neighbors with the last speaker, relatively close, and pretty much what he said goes with me. I'm not a professional, I'm a landowner. I have 41.84 acres there. I've had nothing but problems with the current one, the lighting. I've talked to Nathan on it once. He gave me the guy's name. I called him. These guys run lights all hours of the night. It's temporary. Why would you run temporary lights? If you don't let a builder come in and set up homes, finalize homes, and then put porta potties out and say, we'll use those until we're done. I think before we annex anything into the city and let any more of these, I think these need to be tuned and run a little bit better. Back to the weed abatement thing, if you look at one of those, the weeds are to your waist, and they were like that when they started the project. They drive through the gate every day, right by it. Nothing's changed. They continue to do it. Decreased property value. What's it going to do for me? As a property owner, I've lived there 17 years. I own that ground. I built that house, and I got nothing but stink. You get in the cab of my truck. I drove to Tulare yesterday with somebody that doesn't know me, and they got in my truck and they said, what is that? And I said, I just had my truck detailed on Sunday. Until these problems are, I don't know if they could be totally solved, but something's got to be done. Well, what am I going to do? Move because I can't stand the cinch? Who's going to buy my place now that the property value has been driven down by this? The way I see it, maybe we should look not past the revenue it makes, but I was never notified of this because I'm on the other side of Jackson, so I'm county. And there's one parcel between us. I don't know if that's why I was. I knew it was going on. I don't know anything about it. I didn't know the cinch was going to be that bad. But it's just, where do we draw the line? As somebody said earlier, is it about just keeping the city afloat because of bad things that have put us in the red before and we're trying to get in the black? Do we run people over that have owned private land? I mean, I've followed my ground because I don't have water, and here the city's providing water for these projects. It just, I just don't see it happening and being fair to outside owners that are around the area, the surf ranch being one. I just don't see until these are fine tuned. The three you got out there, I've got complaints from other businesses that tell me the stink is horrible from these other ones. What can we do to do that before we annex this? Should we solve some problems there before we annex this in and let it go on? These people, most of these people are from out of town. They go home, they don't smell that. I smell that when I get up, I smell it when I come home. I get a day off on the weekend and I smell it. I get in my truck, I smell it. My laundry, I smell it. You all go out there and smell it and come home and you're good because you come home. I don't. I smell it all the time. So I think it's something to consider. I don't have the answers. I don't want to sound like I'm against it, but I can't see letting this go on further until this is solved. I'd like to ask, has any of the council members driven out there in the last 30 days and seen and smelled it? I think you should, because it's, I guess, what they call the bloom, and it's horrible. It's horrible. And when I built that house 17 years ago, I didn't know that was going to happen. That's part of life. But where's the line for you guys as a city to say, well, you know what? We could get out of the red with this revenue here, or into the red, and don't worry about these neighbors. You know, when I spoke, I believe it was Frank Kavanaugh, the name that Nathan gave me, most professional guy in the world. He was. He said, hey, man, give me 2 weeks. And these lights were just, it was professional as could be. But again, it ended nothing. He's never contacted me back. The problem ended because the lights went out. I got pictures. The lights come through my living room windows a quarter mile away. And he said, they're temporary lights. They're not the permanent lights. Again, why did we let this happen? Shouldn't we have had that all set up, all the lights put in, the correct lights, before you give a permit to do that? Or do you just say, again, let's build the house and put porta potties out until we get the sewer system hooked up? And that's what I feel like is going on. I think we're going too fast till these are fine tuned. And what I feel, I should have the right to come home to, hey, if we got smoke in the atmosphere, that's part of life. I'll deal with it. But the last 60, 90 days have been horrible out there. So I just ask that you guys maybe go out there in the afternoon, smell it, and then when you come home, say, man, that's horrible. And then back to look at the fence and the weed abatement was brought up earlier. If that's part of the city's deal there, well, where's the weed abatement on that? I mean, it was like that when they started the project. And they drive right through the gate every morning. So I just ask that you take a look at this a little bit better and maybe fine tune some of these things before we annex something in and continue on with a problem that is going to create what I have now for other neighbors that bought in the country, that built in the country, that own in the country. That's all I ask. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Is there any other public comment?
Yes, this is Frank Kavanaugh. I'd like to comment. Is it okay to do it through Zoom?
You guys.
Yeah.
Great. First and foremost, Jay, I did have what I thought was a good conversation with you, and I apologize. And like I said, at the time we talked about the lights, I'm happy to talk about that offline with you. And definitely want to address your issues. As far as the surf ranch, we met with them, and you'll have to correct me as to the when, but I think it was 6 to 8 weeks ago. And we do intend to continue to be a good neighbor. If you look at the work that we've done with the BMX track, the work that we've done with the motorsports groups, I was a little perplexed. We've worked really hard to do weed abatement, just not on ourselves, but on some of the other facilities around us, the BMX and the track. So some of the comments are a little confusing. As far as addressing some of the issues, we're very open to those things. We've suggested that there are things that can be done, but right now we're in the process of annexation. And if this slows down the annexation process, then as the city planner will identify, we have to kind of go back, and it takes a significant amount of time to address those things. I had a conversation with the general manager of the surf ranch just prior to this. And in anticipation of that, I had thought that we were going to plan to have some conversation about how we can address some of his concerns. I think it's always valid to do that. But as far as this process, the annexation process, I do feel like there would be significant financial damage for us if this process is stalled at this point. But that doesn't moderate the fact that we need to continue to have dialogue with neighbors and try to talk to them. And I appreciate you saying I was professional. I appreciate more if I had actually made you more comfortable with the things, and I will work to do that. The lighting that was there was temporary for a different reason. It's that was a growing reason. And you and I had some discussion about the farming components, and I acknowledge you were a very understanding and helpful human being, and to hear that pain in your voice is problematic. I wish I were there. I apologize. I was not able to make it up because of an illness today, but there are a number of our representatives there, and happy to sit down with you at any point. We've worked really hard to develop a good reputation in the community. We're proud of the fact that we do what we say, and we believe that this industry is potentially a very good industry for communities that embrace it, and professionals that really understand that there's a long-term value proposition here. Specifically, we chose that part of town for a reason. That is where the water, the sewage, and the other things are there. And we recognize some of those smells were stronger smells in the area. There was the processing at Olam. So there were a number of other things going on. As far as some of the other concerns you have, as far as smell from some of the other folks, we'll work with everyone in our community, the other cannabis growers, anything that we can do to kind of help to do that. Those are all reasonable concerns, but delineating all those things without specifically understanding what the impact is a little difficult, and it would prevent us from moving forward to actually provide jobs and to really build a business that we think is important to sustainability, both in our industry and in the community. So first and foremost, I apologize for any harm that you've perceived that we've done, and we'll work hard like we have with our neighbors to address those things. And happy to have those conversations. Don't really know what else I can add at this point. So if there's any questions, I'm happy to address them.
Thank you, Mr. Kavanaugh.
If I could clarify one point,
Yeah.
the weeds they're discussing are not this operator. The people's properties are very clean, probably the cleanest landscape in our whole city. I'd bet you everybody in this room lunch on that. They do a very good job. So the weeds he's talking about is a separate operator, and they have been sent notice to clean up the weeds. Matter of fact, I've talked to him personally twice myself, and we will follow up because it's not acceptable. And they know that, so you'll see that cleaned up pretty quick. Matter of fact, people's even offered to weed abate the property adjacent to them. But this operator chose not to have them clean it up at the time, or it would have been cleaned up. So that's a separate issue, but I can tell you the people's operation is been top notch, and my council and staff has toured it, and we do tour it consistently. And it is very well maintained, as well as the adjacent racetracks.
Is there any other public comment?
Bernard Steinman from Peoples, just to kind of echo what Frank is saying, you know, we definitely, like Nathan just mentioned, we want to be good members of the community. You know, we own land here. I'm looking for a house here to spend half my time here, me and my kids and stuff. So, you know, we do want to be good neighbors. We always try to, like with the BMX situation, there's kids right there. We worked with them. We're proactive in cleaning up and helping our neighbors and so forth. So it's bothersome to hear that from our neighbors, and we'd like to work with them to solve that stuff. There are odor mitigation things that we can do through the licensing process, like they've done in Santa Barbara, that we can address at that time. Like what Frank said, I think that's kind of separate from the annexation piece, and we can work with you guys on those issues. No doubt. I read your guys' paper from the Surf Ranch. All of those things are, you know, issues that get brought up in cannabis. I'm sure you guys dealt with that when you passed the ordinance and approved it and did all those things. So I'm sure you've heard all those things, and we're definitely here to work with you. We're here, you know, our employees are here. We've created over 50 jobs, you know, every day, and an extra 100 jobs 4 months out of the year in addition to that. And we're looking to bring, you know, triple that to the community, as well as obviously tax revenue. But, you know, we're here to stay, and we're here to be good community members and neighbors. So any questions I can answer?
Yeah. Bernard, is it accurate that it'd probably be 2 years before cannabis would go in that ground, that there's cover crops planned for the first duration?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at, you know, I think one of the comments was how beautiful the land was before. If you look at this property, it's dumping dead cows and trash there right now. So we dissed the property, we cleaned it. You know, we're trying to clean and beautify. If you come see our property, like Nathan said, we like to have everything impeccably clean. You know, we don't want to have the fences. That's a city thing. So we wouldn't have fences around farmland. That's costly and ugly too. So
Yeah, I think that fence was what, $700,000?
I don't want to talk about it, but yeah.
I think that fence was necessary.
Yeah. So, so yeah, we're here to help improve the community, not to hurt it. You know, we've been doing this for a long time, and we've worked hand in hand with every municipality we've been in. So
can we work on the smell mitigation now instead of later?
yeah, I mean, the cat's somewhat out of the bag, and the fact that you guys do have outdoor cultivation. So,
Yeah.
you know, there's only so much you can do, but there are things that we can look into. There's all sorts of different technology that's out there and also coming. Some's expensive, some's effective, some's not effective. You know, it would be more like, hey, do you guys have an event this day, whatever, and we'll turn this system on, or not have people there, or not mess with the plants. Just like we did with the BMX track. You know, no one was there, kids were there. We striped the whole parking lot, you know, gave them a water truck, you know, did everything we could to help them.
Oh, I will admit, you guys have helped the community quite a bit in many different areas and ways. Did we ever get a list of everything that they've helped us out with?
I have not finished that list. I've
Okay.
been busy preparing for tonight.
Right on.
It's too long. That's why.
Yeah. So is it safe to say then that the annexation is by itself, but the concerns and issues being brought up by Surf Ranch and residents are things that we have approximately 2 years
Yeah, 2 years
to engage and work together to create, you know, that good relationship?
Yeah, absolutely. And we work very closely with you guys on a daily, weekly basis to do that. So, you know, we're not shying away from that at all. So,
Thank you, sir.
thank you.
Any other public comment? It's a race.
Who's a racer? Who's gonna go there?
I'm here to say, I wouldn't, yeah, hopefully it doesn't come to a wrestle.
No.
Again, I just wanted to say it again, Connie Allen, was general manager.
So if I could just interrupt for one moment.
Sure.
If you let someone else testify again, just council be aware you need to open it up for everybody to testify again, which is fine. I just want you to be aware you wouldn't be able to cut anyone else
Okay,
off.
so the fact that if I give him a second go at it, everybody.
Everybody gets a second go.
All right, Connie, you got your second go.
Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it. I know there's a ton of formalities. Look, at the end of the day, I just wanted to make sure that we're 100% on the same page. We are not opposed to the project. We are only asking the city to take in and digest the concerns that we've raised and to have a plan moving forward. And obviously the spirit of being good neighbors and building those communication lines and developing those relationships, other than just saying that we have 2 years and we've got time to develop it. We're asking the city to put forth a plan and to put forth a mitigation plan and to work on some of these concerns that not only us, but other neighbors may have or may not have. At the end of the day, we do not know what the true impact is going to be. We do know that there are some smells. Everybody can understand that. We do know that there are going to be some pesticide issues. If there are, if there aren't, then great. But I do still think that we need to start working on, and we would ask the council to work on mitigation plans to address those concerns. And so I just wanted to make sure that we're 100% clear in regards to what our position is and what we're asking the city council to consider. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Flores, I believe. Yep, I got it right, Mr. Flores.
Thank you for your time. I didn't come here prepared for comments, but I think, well, my name is Robert Flores. I live at 293 Canterbury in Lemoore. I'm also a pastor here in the city. And before I was a pastor, I spent over 20 years in law enforcement, both with the city of Lemoore and Kings County Sheriff's Department. I was also the supervisor for the multi-agency gang task force. And before my 20 years in the Marine Corps, I lived in the city of San Diego. And I grew up in a drug house. My father, when I remember my father, I remember opening the bathroom door and seeing a needle stuck in his arm and blood running down it, his forearm. That's how I remember my father. Excuse me, it's very emotional for me right now. It's just bringing back memories. During that time growing up with my father being a heroin addict, marijuana, cannabis was always in my house. It was also embedded deeply in my community. I myself as a young person partake of marijuana. But somehow the Lord had a plan for me and he removed me from that. And I spent 20 years in the Marine Corps defending this country and people's rights. And then I had an opportunity to be in law enforcement and to serve this community. And drug use was prominent in this city. And there were many good officers that spent many hours away from their families, special occasions to protect this city and put their lives at stake. And it just seems to me today that I might have come here too late, because I believe the council has already got a taste for another kind of stench. And that is what's about to happen to this city. I see it coming. And those of you who think that it's only going to get better because you're getting revenue from this, and it looks like the golden ring or the answer to the problems of this city, I want to remind you of something that was told to me in my early years of Bible study. And it's a story of Jesus when he started his ministry. The Holy Spirit sent him into the desert and he fasted and prayed there for 40 days. And at his weakest point, the devil came to him and he offered him many things, position, title, if he only would bend down to him. I'm only asking that the city council consider that. Though I don't want this city as a private citizen and as a pastor and a former law enforcement officer to find itself so deeply engrossed in illegal drugs and legal drugs that we lost our morality. We lost our sense of dignity and honor. There's officers that lost their life serving this community and its citizens. And I just ask that you consider that and consider options or what really kind of impact this is going to have on our youth today. Because as I tell you, as a supervisor for the multi-agency gang task force, we entered many houses. And when there was criminal activity there was drug activity. And whether or not we had decided to legalize the use of marijuana for its many uses, I know from firsthand that is a segue to hard drugs. So I only ask that you consider that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Flores. Okay, is there any other public comment? I kind of want to remind people that we're talking about an annexation process, and although he makes some good points, I don't want to go down the wrong rabbit hole, so to speak. And I'm not saying that it's wrong or right, but just we need to kind of stay on topic.
This is Frank Kavanaugh. May I make a additional comment?
Yes, sir. You get a second go at it.
Okay. First and foremost, I appreciate all the feedback. I definitely, next time I'm in town, will step in and listen to the pastor because he sounds like a very amazing man with all you've done with the Marines, what you do in your fellowship, and what you did in law enforcement. And I appreciate that. Second, as far as the process, as you've pointed out aptly, what we're really looking for here is to continue the annexation process. And during this period, we're more than happy to have the discussions. I think the Surf Ranch's concerns are valid. I think some of them, some of the mitigation issues are easier than others. But at this point, it's difficult to design a solution when you don't really deeply understand the problem yet. And there are a lot of tools to do that. And as was pointed out, we do have several years to go through and understand those things. And we've demonstrated over the period that we've been involved in the city, I think, good faith and the way that we've acted and operated. And where we can improve that, we will. So we're hoping that the council will understand that we're making an investment in the community. And that means we want what's best for the community also. And we hope that this annexation process can continue and that we're open to more dialogue. We know there will be additional readings. And we're more than happy to sit down with any members of the public who want to have discussion about what we're doing. Had we thought that this was more of a question about the overall morality and some of the other things, I think we probably would have introduced some of the folks that we do work with more closely in the community who did feel initially that there were concerns. And I think you can see how they have felt that we have acted. I apologize for any of our fellow members of the cannabis grow community who are not living up to the standards that they need to. We recognize that's an important part of what we do. And again, more than anything, we hope that the council understands how important it is to us to be part of a community where there is a group of people who will listen, who are fair, who recognize the importance of good jobs in a community, and to remind everyone that this is a product that is legal and that we are working hard to address that, meaning we're not growing it in the county because it's not legal there. And so we've worked really hard to create a reputation and a business that you guys would be proud of, and one that provides jobs and provides the community with the types of support and things that the pastor mentioned that we do believe in. So thank you very much. From there, I don't know what else to add other than I apologize for not being there in person. I really hate having this conversation from far away, and I still want to go surfing at the surf ranch. So,
Well, just so you know, you're on Zoom and we're all looking at your, it's being broadcast on TVs and computer screens in front of all of us. So you are basically here.
okay, well, it's not the same, but it's close. But I appreciate all of this, and if there are other questions, we're happy to answer them. But the amount of time and energy we put into the annexation process and the momentum, we hope not to lose that, but we'll definitely participate in any additional conversations. But stalling that will be financially debilitating for us. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, is there any other public comment? Oh, wow. Geez. All right. You get your second and final shot.
Are we,
No,
we're
I
not gonna
mean-
go thirds, right?
No, we're not going three.
No, really just to echo what Frank said. I mean, a lot of these concerns, come from, I'm sorry to hear those things, Pastor, but, I've had a lot of experiences in cannabis on the other side, the legal side, that I've seen change people's lives, including my mom's as she passed, and a lot of people close to me, which really fuels, what we're doing and why we're doing it the legal way. We deal with multiple state agencies on, we don't use pesticides. Well, it's all organic stuff, so we can easily ask that. We get these inspections all the time from multi-state agencies, and, they go through everything with a fine-tooth comb. So once again, just want to be good community members, and just, I think a lot of this stuff, Nathan, would be an ordinance change or some other things that we can deal with in the meantime. But as far as the annexation being separate, just want to keep that moving along. If you guys will do so.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Public comment going once and twice. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and close public hearing at this time. Bring it back to council. Council, any,
Mayor, could I add a few items that I think are relevant for the annexation?
yeah, you're not on the public side, so you're on
Right.
the council. All right, go ahead.
So just a couple things. So pre-COVID, the city was facing almost a $3 million deficit. Through COVID, we were able to ink some new deals, and yet they involved cannabis, because right now retail's dead. We've had an empty Kmart for how many years? We're not getting any calls on it. Our tax base in this city is our downtown merchants. We don't have any big tax generators. If we took every single business we owned in this city and replicated it and doubled the size of every business we have, we still don't have enough sales tax generated revenue to balance the books. Cannabis helped save the city. Michelle's had the hard time of laying off 7 people and their livelihoods and cut them short. So this is not our save all end all. We have brought in Helena Agribusiness. They've been in the city adjacent to us for over 60 years. They're moving all 3 plants to one location in Lemoore. Proud of that one. That's going to add much needed revenues. But to put it into perspective, that's a $40 million business retail. 40 million, that sounds like a lot of money. But at 1%, at 85% of that being retail and 15% wholesale, that adds about $385,000 to the bottom line. The 2 dispensaries, when we put into town, that people were worried about the dispensaries and what it would do to town, last year brought $880,000 in revenues to our general fund. Our police, God bless them, and for protecting us, they're staffed at the current levels they are because previous councils and this councils have allowed us to bring some cannabis into this town. Staff has always taken the position that public safety would be the very last thing we ever touch to balance a budget. We've held true to that, but this is much needed. It is another revenue stream for us. Like I said, retail's not knocking down our door. There's a couple other things too. Wastewater is a big one for us, right? I did visit myself and I took some council members around, and we've had business owners out in the South Industrial Park saying they'd rather smell the cannabis all day long than smell the Leprino ponds and the city ponds. So there are offsetting smells. We're in the valley. You either smell Leprino in the city, cows, cannabis now. And when Olin was running Earthy Smells, the Olin plant shut down. It hasn't operated in 2 years. We lost a lot of jobs, a lot of good paying jobs. That plant's sitting idle. And I'm surprised that Peoples didn't bring this up, but part of their long-term goal, and I believe they're even maybe in escrow with, is to buy that plant, reconvene it, get it operating, and bring hundreds of highly technical jobs into this area. So it goes beyond just growing of cannabis. We're not distributing cannabis for free and trying to get our community hooked on cannabis. It's another commodity. It's highly regulated. It's tested for bacteria and molds in the parts per billion, when baby food formulations are tested in parts per million. Way safer bet going downtown and buying out a dispensary with a legal operator than kids picking up a joint from high school that could be laced with who knows what. But this is part of a solution to an end. We're going to continue to grind and continue to look for things. But right now we're about at capacity on wastewater. It's a gift that they're going to be able to use our wastewater to grow cannabis for oil production.
Well, I think you need to clarify when you say wastewater, because a lot of people, perception is everything. When you say wastewater, that gives a certain percentage of people the wrong impression.
So yeah, the wastewater that you have from your home, when you shower and use the restroom, you flush your toilets, it goes out to these city ponds. They are treated to a secondary treatment standard that we're working with the state, and we're real close to getting the authorized use to use this on our cannabis crops. But it is a secondary treated wastewater. It's not harmful. The bacteria are down in it. And then with the cannabis oils, they go through a process to convert it to the oils that kill all the pathogens that would be in it anyway. So it's a really good use for us. We pay right now to get rid of wastewater. It costs our residents money. Every time you flush the toilet, I have to pay, the city pays to send that water out north of NAS Lemoore. And not only do we send it to NAS Lemoore, we send it outside of our own groundwater sustainability area into another zone. So we'll get partial credits, but the city has an obligation to be able to offset pumping. I mean, we're looking at an opportunity to discharge 100% of our recycled wastewater that is safe to use on these cannabis fields. And we've even engaged Surf Ranch about potentially working with them and giving them water to irrigate. If they don't want to put it in their surf ponds, they can put it on their golf course and things that are around that they maintain and keep green and offset pumping of valuable groundwater. So this is more than just a revenue stream. It's also another ends to reduce, reuse, recycle water, which anybody that lives here knows that is a major deal. So, we were able to shore the gap and get back to even. Last year, we finished a little bit ahead of budget, which was miraculous. This year, we took a deficit spend because we have some high dollar one-time fees, but we think we're going to be okay this year. But if we don't get these additional revenues, we're going to be in the same boat 3 years from now that we just pulled ourselves out of. I know it's not everybody's favorite thing. Everybody freaked out when we brought a cannabis ordinance and started saying we're going to do dispensaries. And we've had 0 calls for service to our dispensaries. We don't have people strung out on heroin sleeping on Main Street. People would come in here and say, that's what's going to happen. People are going to be shooting up in the streets. It didn't come to fruition.
So the annex and the annexation part, that's kind of.
Yep, I'm sorry, but I'm just saying I bring all that up because it matters to keep our community viable.
100%.
And there's more things that tie to it. So thank you.
I have a question, or maybe I was have an understanding. The Surf Ranch, at one point, I was under the understanding possibility that they might want to be annexed into the city of Lemoore. Is that at all possibly possible or no?
I've offered and asked them if they'd be interested, but I would have to defer. I think that's open. Okay.
Would that be opening public hearing again or no? If I ask,
You don't have to open the public hearing. You can ask the question. You can answer it if it's useful.
is that safe? Is that a safe something to possibly ask, or do you prefer not to comment at this time? Okay, so that's fine. That's a safe answer, because in order for them to be annexed, if they did in the future, wouldn't this ground have to be annexed first? This annexation that we're currently talking about?
Yes, because it has to be adjacent lands. You can't annex islands.
Okay. So, I mean, that's just, I guess I'm trying to follow my own rules. I keep asking people to stay on kind of topic here, and I'm just trying to, point out something that.
Yeah.
I
And if
heard
I could point out, this topic 4-1 does not become adjacent to the Surf Ranch. This is north of Idaho. So this
Oh,
is a
yes,
separate
yes.
parcel. So
sorry.
even if this is annexed in, that's still, I mean, they're asking for, I believe, a 600-foot setback.
So I need to save my question for 4-2.
Well, yeah, we can just kill it now. I mean, 4-2 is essentially the same exact conversation. I don't think anybody's gonna have anything new to add, right?
Yeah,
So,
well,
but this does not get us contiguous to the Surf
gotcha.
Ranch.
Steve Brent, did you have something as?
Yeah, I was gonna say the
Okay.
same thing. There's 2 annexations on your agenda.
Right on. Okay, council, any other questions? Anything to add, say?
Yeah, gentleman here, said it, and I actually wrote it down because it's exactly how I'm feeling. This is happening too fast. This annexation. We'll talk about the annexation, but we know what the annexation is for and what the ultimate goal is. I think it's happening too fast. And we need to put the brakes on this annexation.
Anybody else? Nothing. So I'm gonna go ahead and look for a motion at this time for resolution 2021-23, ordinance 2021-06.
And it would be for the ordinance, a motion to waive the first reading and introduce it.
And a motion to waive the first reading. I forgot to say that.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, Ms. Matthews. Motion made by Ms. Matthews. I need a second. I'll second it. Ms. Matthews, how do you vote?
Aye.
I vote aye as well. Mr. Orth,
Aye.
Mr. Cheney.
No,
Okay. 4-1 passes. On to 4-2. Public hearing, resolution 2021-24, approving general plan amendment number 2021-02 located at the southeast corner of 19th Avenue in Idaho, and resolution 2021-25 requesting local agency formation commission of Kings County to initiate influence amendment and first reading ordinance 2021-07 pre-zoning territory located at the southeast corner of 19th Avenue in Idaho. Mr. Brandt.
Thank you, Mayor. This item is similar to the previous to 4-1, although there are some differences. This site, as shown on the screen, is at the southeast corner of Idaho Avenue and 19th Avenue. It doesn't go all the way to Jackson. It's goes about 3/4 of the way. The difference, there's a mile between Idaho and Jackson, so it goes about 3/4 of a mile down 19th Avenue. And then the east side of the annexation area would continue to be the Vine Street alignment, although Vine Street does stop at Idaho Avenue. So the difference with this one is the previous one, the site was within the general plan area and designated for industrial uses. This site is currently not in your general plan. And so it's not designated for any specific use by the city. The county obviously has it designated for agricultural use in their general plan. So that's the reason for the requested general plan amendment. We need to give it a general plan designation before we can initiate an annexation. So in looking at this, we're recommending that you give it a designation of agriculture, because that's really what the intended use is going to be. And by designating it agriculture, you are not then allowing any other types of uses such as industrial uses or other things to happen. If you had done that, we would need to go through a lot more environmental review, because you'd basically be expanding the capacity of your industrial park. So So this general plan amendment would allow the property to do the cannabis cultivation, which in land use terms is an agricultural use, similar to the agricultural uses that have been happening there. There were non-cannabis uses, but they were agricultural uses. So, so the request is to designate it for agriculture. The other part of that with the annexation is besides approving annexations, LAFCO also draws a sphere of influence around each city in Kings County. And that's the area that they will consider annexations. So this area is not currently in the sphere of influence. So we need to also request that they make that change and include the area within the sphere of influence at the same time that they approve the annexation. So that is why that's included in the annexation initiation. So the CEQA document for this project is a categorical exemption because the use is pretty much staying the same as agricultural use. And so you'd be approving the general plan amendment to agriculture and initiating a change to the sphere of influence and to annex the site into the city.
Okay. So council, because anything before we open it up to a public hearing? No.
Yeah, the 3 parcels south by Jackson,
Correct, yes.
there's 3 of them, right? 2 of them, or how many, a couple of them are like a solar farm. Is that for the surf ranch? Is that what that's south of that? Is there like a solar farm?
There's a solar farm, I believe, on the far left corner, the left bottom parcel is solar.
Solar.
Yeah, I don't know if it's related to the surf ranch.
I do
And
not
then the
believe
oth-
so, is it?
And then the other 2 are,
It's not.
If it's true, I believe it's agricultural use.
And then I believe the surf ranch owns 40 acres due west of the 2 vertical where they have their ponds. I believe the surf
Yeah,
ranch
the 2
owns 40
vertical, yeah.
acres to the west of that.
and then what's on the west of the more towards the northern part? There's like, what are those? Do we
To the
know?
west of,
The-
to the west of the annexation area?
Yeah, towards the top.
That area is already in the city. And that's an area that's you've already approved for a cannabis cultivation.
Okay.
So council, the mayor asked me earlier kind of what the cannabis companies had brought. So I got a few thoughts wrote in. And not necessarily, and this is in general of all our cannabis operators in town. So they're all, one paid $200,000 one-time fee to the general fund as just a courtesy for being able to do business in the city of Lemoore. We did not ask for that. That was offered by that operator. We also have commitments of $24,000 a year from some of our operators for downtown activities and events. We've already talked about the sales taxes. Downtown's been cleaned up. The parks have been cleaned up quite a bit. We've got one of the nicest dispensaries in the state that had about a $3 million addition or a $3 million build to it. And quite frankly, when all this started, I think y'all remember, we were trying to build an 83-acre facility with 1 million square foot of warehousing down there. And we couldn't do it on one of the parcels that's now in cannabis because the groundwater is so high. The city was on the hook for $4 million worth of improvements. And the bill came in at about close to $12 million because we would have had to offset 1 million acre feet of water because the water table is so high out here. And our cannabis companies bailed us out. They got the city out of a $4 million liability and actually bought us out from underneath that deal that we were in, and we're getting taxes on top of it. So I can tell you right now, the cannabis industry in Lemoore has already saved the city from bankruptcy one time, or potential bankruptcy one time. There's all those things, and they continue to donate to Sober Grad and all our, at any time we've had to go to them for donations for our community events and stuff, they've all answered the call. And I know they've even given monies to like the Commission on Aging and things of that for Kings County. So they are active. They're just in the background. They don't brag about it very often. Thank you.
So council, did council have anything before we open to public hearing? No. Okay. So let's go ahead and open up 4-2 to public hearing at this time. And guys, we're only going to do one round of it this time. Unless you got something really good. I'm pretty sure that everybody kind of said their piece on the first one. So is anybody have anything new? If not,
So Mayor, for the record, for testimony, you can actually incorporate what was testified to before into this record as well.
okay, we'll go ahead and do that. Everything that was said on 4-1, we'll go ahead and apply it to 4-2. Okay. Let's hear from Bob King.
Hi, thank you. So I'm Bob Kane. I'm also with Kelly Slater Wave Company. One comment and one question for you. So the comment, I understand that 4-1 was passed. And again, we would reiterate that in considering 4-2, that the council would impose conditions in connection with their approval that we had shared with the council. As to my question, understand that the Planning Commission had reviewed both the 137 acre parcel and the 222 acre parcel, which is the one that is subject to 4-2, and was wondering if the council knows why in the case of 4-1, the Planning Commission recommended approval of the annexation, but for 4-2 did not recommend approval. There was no discussion at the meeting that we saw. So I was wondering if the council has any additional information there, if there was something specific they were concerned about.
Mr. Brandt, do you have an answer to that question?
Kind of, but it's not a great one. The Planning Commission reviewed both of these annexations, but they did them on different meetings. The 4-1 annexation was brought to them a few months ago, and they recommended that it was consistent with the general plan. This current one, 4-2, was brought to them a few weeks ago, and they, on a 3-2 vote, they voted not to support the annexation. There were two planning commissioners absent that night. There was discussion about a number of things, but when they did make their final vote, they didn't give a specific reason why they said that. There was some discussion about odors, other things, but they didn't specifically say why they voted the way they did.
And Mr. Brandt, they're required to when they no vote something, correct? They're supposed to cite the specific
Good
reasons why.
practice. It's good practice, yeah. And I think the city attorney, there was a city attorney representative there that night that did recommend that they do that before they vote happened.
I forgot his name, Bob. I forgot his last name.
Okay.
Did that answer your question, sort of, Bob, Mr. Bob Kane?
I mean, sort of, obviously, if there wasn't a specific reason, obviously that's the answer. So we would just wanted to make sure that there was not something specific that they were concerned about that, we should be made aware of.
Right on. Thank you, sir. Okay. Any other public comment on this? Okay, seeing none, go ahead and close public comment at this time. Close public hearing and bring it back to council. Does council have any further discussion?
Yeah,
Questions?
real quick, I have a comment. We're directed to stay on point. And what's on point was not about how much, talking about how cannabis has saved the city. That has nothing to do with what we're voting on tonight. If we say, let's stay on comment, let's not stray away. The comment was obviously a stray point that had nothing to do with what we are voting on tonight.
Point made.
So.
Okay. So council, in any other, at this time, I'm going to be looking for a motion to adopt resolution 2021-24, amendment number 2021-02 and ordinance 2021-07.
Resolution 2021-25 as well. And then it would be a motion to introduce and waive the first reading of ordinance 2021-07.
That's the motion I'm looking for.
I'll make that motion.
Mrs. Matthews makes a motion. I'm looking for a second. Okay, I will second it. Ms. Matthews, how do you vote?
Aye.
I vote aye. Mr. Orth,
Aye.
Mr. Cheney?
No.
No. So 4-2 passes. On to the next, on to new business. Report, discuss, and or other council action will be taken. 5-1's already been handled. We're going to go to 5-2 at this time. Report and recommendation, strategic goals and objectives meeting. Mr. Olson.
So good evening, Mayor and council members. This was brought forth at our last meeting by Councilmember Orr, and we wanted to be able to have an open discussion of potentially having the strategic meeting and planning session. So we're here tonight to have that open discussion and potentially see, you know, what we're hoping to get out of the outcome, how we want to structure it. So we're able to have this in open form, being it's on the agenda. So I guess I'll open it up to Councilmember Orr.
Basically, what I'm looking for is for us to meet. I don't know if this was the, I don't know if this was going to be the format that we were going to do it in. Basically, what I want to look at doing is creating a strategic goals meeting with a facilitator. We all can sit here and we can come up with what we want to do as goals as a council, as a city, as city staff, to move our city going through some pretty tough decisions that we've made tonight, and, you know, what we can do to help make our city better and make our city citizens understand what we do to what they do and what we can do moving forward. So I don't know the details on how that was gonna work, but basically, you know, have it to where we can do it, you know, not, you know.
So we have had some in the past. It's been quite a few years ago, but we did bring in a facilitator. It was actually convened as a special meeting of the council, and public members were invited. We didn't have too many people from the public attend, but we did sit down and spend a better part of a day going through and talking about kind of the next couple of years. So if that's the direction that council wants to go, then we can kind of hang on to that same format, and we'll schedule it and it'll be as a special meeting.
And that's what I'm really looking for, because we have a lot of big decisions and everything over the next couple of years, and we need to try to get on board. Or
So do you need a motion on this, or?
I just need some head nods, I guess. to-
Just direction.
Just so I'm clear,
Yeah, go ahead.
it's like a brainstorming session, pretty much, like.
Yeah, they'll do team building, little exercises, and we'll talk strategic goals and opportunities, and it's a pretty good afternoon spent.
Will there be arm wrestling involved?
If you want arm wrestling, we can arm wrestle.
I think it's a great idea. Minus the arm wrestling, of course.
I don't think we have workman's comp for them. So
Well, that's gonna be embarrassing for
For Mr.
a
Cheney?
member of the council, but I think it's an outstanding idea.
I agree.
I only agree if Mr. Reed's there.
will you be there,
Yeah,
Mr.
thumbs
Reed?
up. So is there a particular time frame you're looking to have this done in?
Can she look up from her phone?
Oh, man.
Shots fired.
Whenever it works good for our city staff,
Don't tell that to Michelle, because she'll tell you in
not
years
6
after-
months from now,
After implementation of the new software.
not 6 months from now, but whenever it's nice for the city staff.
Okay.
So like a Saturday.
Do you want 3 months? Is 3 months good?
Well, yeah, we'll look at calendars. I mean, we got a lot of
Figure it out.
holidays and stuff
Yeah.
coming up, so it's either, in just my idea would either we'd have to do it probably before Thanksgiving or after the new year. It's kind of where I'm looking, because there's so many people travel throughout the
I
holidays.
think
and
before
staff.
Thanksgiving, I'd get in trouble.
November.
So we'll do after the first of the year.
I think it should be a day that I get my 4-hour call out. That's all I'm concerned about.
Okay, so did you say after New Year's?
Sure.
Okay, we good with that, council, after New Year's?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so 5-2 is complete. Brief city council reports and requests, section 6. Mr. Orth.
I want to start off with telling everyone that's watching this at home, I saw there was like 10 people watching it. This is a decision that we made for the betterment of our city. And Nathan touched on a couple of them. So it doesn't go without hesitation, but we do want everyone to be a part of this. And all I really do ask is when this starts going down when that snowball gets pushed down the hill, that we sit down and we have a collective, educated conversation with everybody involved to where we can move forward with this process going forward. So we can try our best to make everybody as happy as they can be. We all know you're not going to make everybody happy, but at the end of the day, we need to try our best. And if that means working on the piece of property north of the racetrack sooner than later, I think that's a really good thing and a good foot forward because that's horrible out there. I had the opportunity to go to the League of Cities. It was very educational. I met a couple of our contractors or suppliers, I guess. I was embarrassed by somebody's attempt at 2 times actually, trying to catch a football. But I want to
caught
thank
it.
all city staff, the police, you guys, and the fire. You guys worked tirelessly through this process. And I know some of our annex or our things make it funny, but we really do want to try to do the best for our city. And sometimes in life, you don't see all the pictures, the whole picture, you see some of it. And sometimes when you see the whole picture, you don't really like what you see, but you got to make tough decisions. Tonight was a very tough decision. But we did it, and we'll just pray to God that they do what they say they're going to do. Thank you.
Mr. Cheney.
It's a good point. Councilmember Orth. The only thing I have to say is in regards to the Red Ribbon Week, I need to know if the suit, the bite suit still fits Mr. Kendall. I know I've seen where he's taken a few bites, and I'm not sure if he's going to be the one taking the bites at this K9 demo. So I look forward to it because there's a possibility I'll be voting for that. Also, I just want to thank everybody, city staff, for all that they do and all we have achieved. And that's all I have.
I'd like to nominate Michelle Spear for the bite suit.
Oh,
Okay. So is there any other nominations? Seeing none. Michelle Spear, go ahead and she wins that one. Thank you, Mr. Cheney. Ms. Matthews.
I just want to start off with that Peoples has been a great partner / neighbor. And I have no reason to believe that they will not do what they say they're going to do. They've given me no reason to believe that. But I wish people would stay till the end to kind of hear. I didn't want to say this in the other part because I wasn't sure if it was staying on topic. So
Yeah, you had to stay on topic.
yeah, so I want to say that your current concerns have been heard. So just know that it has been heard by council, by the companies involved. Also for KWRA, I haven't attended a meeting since I last reported out. But one of the things I wanted to ask Nathan about, would we be able to add like an informational presentation from KWRA as far as like what to put in your cans? I mean, I haven't talked to KWRA, so I'm not sure what the process is, but I know sometimes it can be confusing. If we could bring that maybe at a later date.
Yeah, all we have to, we'll just bring, we'll bring Nicole in on a study session.
Okay. And then I also wanted to say that I attended, as well as every council member that was not working at the time, which was only Mr. Lyons, attended the Gold Star and Fallen Heroes Memorial. It was a lovely event, well attended. Thank you to all those that helped make it possible, including the American Legion Post 100, Central Valley Gold Star Families of California, Lemoore Police Department, Lemoore Volunteer Fire Department, Lemoore Naval Air Station, the City of Lemoore, and all the families that attended to honor their loved ones at the memorial. I did miss the cemetery walk because I had another engagement, but I heard it was a great event. I also attended Rock in the Arbor last Friday. I'll be attending Rock in the Arbor this Friday, and we'll also be helping bartend. So want to invite the public to come out and enjoy the weather, music, and the community. This Thursday is the last bike night for the Fleet Reserve, which is located on D Street. I apologize, I don't have the number, but it's easy to spot. Encourage you to come out and support the Fleet Reserve with or without a bike. If you don't have a motorcycle, drive your car out there, ride your bicycle, scooter, skateboard, whatever you got to do to get there. There'll be food and beverages for sale, as well as live music to enjoy. I did attend the Cal Cities Convention with Mr. Orth. We did learn a lot, or I learned a lot. I don't know if he did or not, but we met a lot of people. Hope more council members can go next year. It was very informative. I just want to say there's also photo evidence of my arm wrestling win, should anybody care to view that. There is evidence of it. And also, if I could make a suggestion or recommendation for the future agendas that council's given, these agendas, if we can add the staff report in there for the different, I was scrolling through my laptop trying to find a staff report to make a motion, and then I was scrolling for minutes. So luckily we had the city attorney read it for me correctly.
So would you prefer it in a hard copy, or would you like it on the screen?
On
And
the
we'll have the
screen's
city
fine.
clerk make sure that the agenda is up for the one. We can do it either way or both.
Yeah, on the screen is fine, just somewhere where we can view it. It's usually not a problem to find, but there were a lot of pages in this one.
607, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
That would've been a lot of
never found
trees.
it, so it's still.
That would have been a
I'm
lot of
scrolling.
trees to kill.
Yeah.
Just the staff, just the one paper. Yeah,
Yeah.
not everything.
The main page.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Mayor, can I, I'd like to add one more thing when you're done, please.
Thank you for police department, fire department, city staff. Thank you for all you do. Council, thank you for all you do as well. And with
So
that, I'm done.
I guess we let them go a second time. Go ahead, Mr. Ward.
I just want to point out that Peoples is a good company. I'm not trying to beat them up. I didn't make it sound like I was trying to beat them up. I just want to do our due diligence. That's it.
I'm gonna go a second time too, because you got to.
Okay.
So I just want to point out that the arm wrestling was my idea, but the football catch was not my idea, but I did participate. So for clarity.
Thank you, Ms. Matthews. Mr. Cheney?
I've already gone.
Okay.
You wanna go second?
I was just giving him, fair due. So, all right. I'm only going to go once this time. I would like to say that we did have some, hard discussions tonight, and there was a lot of the testimony that is this still testimony? I'm going to call it that. I don't care. I was glad to see the respectfulness that was kept. I was glad to see the decorum that was kept. no one really kind of, threw stones, so to speak. But I really respected what everybody had to say, and everything that was said is taken into consideration. I can honestly say that none of it falls on a deaf ear as far as I'm concerned. And I also want to thank all the council up here because, it is difficult to sit up here and get criticized and judged and, looked at in a certain way. So council, I thank you guys tonight. And even Mr. Gornick, because, he's a part of the team. I'm surprised he didn't call in, but nonetheless, and the police department, we'll thank the police department too. And the fire department, I'm not going to forget them. All right, guys, that's it.
Have one comment from Jennifer.
Oh, no.
She said that she echoes Stuart's words on the respectful conversation. I'm glad to see Juan did this.
Well, thank you. With that, we're adjourned.